I don't know how many more lawsuits I can possibly catch up with.
Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false. You knew that was false. For anybody who had never heard that before, that question is now planted into them, unqualified representation that Mr. Kohberger stalked one of the witnesses, and that's false. We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122. But we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged.
Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. It was brought to my attention on Twitter yesterday by Sarah posting something about a new lawsuit that a media company called EWU Media is now suing the city of Moscow for what seems like them not releasing information that they should be releasing under FOIA. If you go to the Odyssey portal, you can actually see where it has the case number. It says EWU Media LLC versus the city of Moscow, the Moscow Police Department, very specifically. Of course, it's Megan Marshall as the judge. Now, when it comes to interveners, people that are trying to help the Moscow Police Department win this lawsuit, we have the Chapins, all but Hunter, if you notice. The same as the other one when it came to bedroom photo suppression. Hunter Chapin has not been a part of literally any of these. I would really, really love to know what he's thinking alone without obviously this groupthink situation, because Maisie's along for the ride for some reason. And then again, we have Karen Laramie. Now, I looked up EWU Media. It looks like EWU has been around for over a decade. Since 2015. They've done 2.5 billion views across several different platforms, including what seems to be their own. Now, they've also been used as credibility or some sort of resources when it comes to News Nation and Daily Mail. But let's be so serious. Daily Mail has no credibility whatsoever, and maybe 10% of what comes from News Nation is actually real honest news. But they claim to have a really diverse content portfolio, journalistic excellence. They're talking about all of their different networks. Now, I have seen the EWU Body Cam channel, but I didn't know that they had so many other ones. They talk about a whole lot of stuff, and they even ask for you to submit your own information. Now, Sarah over on Twitter, who posted this originally, at least where I saw it originally, was kind enough to send me the actual document. Now, I did contact the Latol District Court earlier today. I talked to like 4 different people before I finally landed on the right person, and I was able to get information for how to submit the records request straight to them via email. It sounds like they answer these requests for court records like same day. There's usually 2 people working. It's like $1 a page plus some sort of transaction fee for your card if you're out of state. So I'm going to go and get these documents myself, and I will have them on the Google Drive after I obtain them, like our own version of these. Again, I very much thank Sarah for giving me this, but I just don't feel comfortable, like before, putting this as a Google Drive attachment on my channel stuff when it's not my original page. But for now, because she sent me this, we're going to go ahead and read through the petition for exactly why EWU filed this lawsuit. Now, as you can see here, it says EWU Media, a Nevada-based company, versus the city of Moscow and the Moscow Police Department. The interveners' names are not on here. They might be on whatever the city of Moscow's response is, but we haven't gotten that just yet. But again, the lady I spoke to at Latol County this morning did tell me that they do expect a lot more paperwork to come in for this, and very soon. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this stuff because it's literally just claiming we've asked for records and they've given us 25,000 different reasons to not release this information to us. And it talks about how Latol County is the appropriate venue for this. And it also talks about the Idaho Code 74101. And I believe they also cite 102 when it comes to some of the reasons why there's no reason for this to happen. But we're skipping over that and going straight to the factual background because it pretty much all gets repeated. Factual background. On June 30th, 2025, EWU submitted an informal email request to the Moscow Police Department seeking investigative materials related to the Bryan Kohberger case. This would have been when the plea was announced. On July 1st, 2025, the Moscow Police Department responded and directed EWU to submit a formal public records request through the city's official public records portal, which you guys have seen me do 1,000 times. There's also links in my description box to all of the official government sources for this, where you can also file your own. You don't have to be anybody special to file a FOIA. On July 11th, 2025, EWU submitted a formal public records request through the city's portal seeking investigative materials related to the Kohberger investigation, including video recordings, audio recordings, photographs, communications, and other evidentiary materials. On July 14th, 2025, the city issued a written response denying EWU's request in its entirety, citing a revised amended non-dissemination order entered in the criminal proceedings and stating that it was not authorized to release investigative information. Correct. They didn't actually lift that gag order until after the sentencing was over. On July 23rd, 2025, after the order was lifted, EWU submitted an additional request through the city's portal seeking substantially similar categories of records. On July 24th, 2025, the city issued a written response indicating that the request was broad and would require additional time to locate, retrieve, review, and prepare the requested records. Subsequent to that communication, EWU and Moscow City Attorney Mia Bautista, who I've spoken with, unfortunately, corresponded regarding how EWU's request could be narrowed. Yeah, she tried to tell me that I wasn't being specific enough either, but if you've been here, you know that I'm over specific. And she was just trying to do everything she could to not actually give me what we were asking for. But you guys know this. On August 8th, 2025, EWU submitted a new, narrower public records request seeking, among other materials, video recordings, audio recordings, including interviews and 911 calls, photographs, communications, and phone extraction data relating to the Kohberger investigation. I will also say I found it really strange. Less than a week, maybe just a few days after I got a denial for the contact that Dylan Mortensen added to her phone at 3:51 in the morning that morning, it became public information. But okay. On August 25th, 2025, the city issued written correspondence responding to EWU's modified request. In that August 25 correspondence, the city denied disclosure of certain categories of records on the basis that they were created by other agencies. Specifically, the city denied release of materials created by the FBI, including phone extraction data, and directed EWU to submit a FOIA request to the FBI. The city further denied release of materials created by other agencies, including Pennsylvania State Police and other listed entities, instructing EWU to request such records directly from those agencies. Now, I'll stop right here and say this. When it comes to anything from ISP, if there is some sort of evidence that's recorded, whether it be video or audio or anything that's like taken as evidence at all, 9.99999 times out of 10, the very, very bottom of that report is going to say that it was sent over to Moscow PD because they are the main agency in this case. So when they pull this, and they've done it with me several times, I have tried to find a way around it. So here recently, when it comes to Bryan Kohberger's interview that Payne and another officer with ISP conducted with him in Pennsylvania, the one and only time MPD ever spoke to Kohberger. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know, they never spoke to anyone in his family either. Yeah, fun stuff. In the report about this interview with Kohberger, it literally states that the other officer had a voice recorder that was recording the entire interview. Now, they did have the actual facility cameras doing audio and video recording of the interview, and she, the woman who handles the FOIAs, has told me that that's their property. But when it comes to what Moscow might have, the FBI said no. As a matter of fact, when I asked about who said no and what the FBI said, or like, why can't we have it? Her exact words were, the FBI said so. Yeah, that's recorded, and that phone call is posted. I'll have a link for it down in the description box. Not only that, but she also didn't even know who the suspect's name was. Like when I said Kohberger or suspect, she had like no idea who I was talking about. Neither here nor there. But I have also tried to FOIA the interview itself from Pennsylvania, and they do have a lot of stuff that they have publicly. And again, all of the official resources in my description box, you can go and click on those and view all kinds of actual public records from ISP, from Moscow PD, from Pullman, from Latah County, and from Pennsylvania. They do have a lot of stuff open to the public. But when I asked for this interview, they said I was going to have to subpoena the court and go through this entire process. I can't do none of that. I don't have lawyers that can help me with any of that. So maybe EWU will have a little bit of luck, but it sounds like they've been trying to do this for a while. And if they're now trying to file this against Moscow PD, I'm going to assume that whatever they did, if they tried to get the interview from Pennsylvania, didn't work. On August 28th, 2025, EWU submitted a new public records request requesting a very specific list of items. On September 15th, 2025, the city issued a letter to EWU. The letter contained a partial denial. The city denied producing certain records as exempt under Pennsylvania law, including Pennsylvania's Right to Know law and Pennsylvania's Criminal History Record Information Act. The city denied producing the records obtained from the FBI as exempt under federal law, but no citations to the federal law exempting disclosures were provided. The city denied producing any records created by the Latah County Sheriff's Office, Ada County, or Washington State University. The city produced some records, including crime scene photos and videos, but those were heavily redacted, as we know. EWU is aware of the order entered on October 1st, 2025, requiring redaction of particularly graphic content. However, the order also allows for disclosure of 1, the interior of the bedrooms, except as provided above. And it just goes on to talk about the way that the stipulations were for when Karen Laramie, Maddie's mother, and then the Chapins piggybacked onto this, again, everyone but Hunter, about keeping stuff inside of the rooms, ixnayed. They didn't want us to see literally anything whatsoever. And I'll tell you this, now that ISP has released all those photos, I don't see anything in there that is embarrassing, that is inappropriate, that would constitute what Karen Laramie did here. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. And I know a lot of you guys know how I feel about the frickin' Goncalveses, okay? Completely different ballgame here. I understand as a parent not wanting your daughter's bedroom and her things in her bedroom plastered all over the internet. But this is a completely different situation. And when it came to her reasoning, it really seemed like she didn't want people to victim blame based off what they saw. But we didn't see anything. There was nothing in Maddie's room that gave us literally anything to talk about besides the crime scene and the blood spatter itself. That was it. So I don't know what her reasoning was. I don't know if somebody talked her into this or what it was, but there was nothing there to be embarrassed about, like literally at all. So, okay. But what was also crazy is that they were like, oh, you can't see anything that belongs to the victims, even outside of the house. Okay, you realize that would mean they'd have to blur the parking lot, right? Like they would have had to have gone back in and blurred out the Range Rover, the Jeep, the cars. They'd have to go out and blur out like everything. It was way excessive, but let's go ahead and continue. To the extent materials have been produced, EWU is informed and believes that redactions to those materials have been applied beyond what is expressly required by the October 2025 order. Then it talks about the relief from public records request denials, and it's basically just saying if they are going to deny all of this and it's way past the scope of what the gag order redactions are supposed to be, now that there's technically no gag order and now we're just being told certain things have to be hidden because of privacy reasons or whatever reasons they want to give us, they want them to be extremely specific for the reasoning. And again, when they state, oh, well, Pennsylvania created that, we can't give that to you. Or Idaho State Police created that, we can't give that to you. We're not the custodian of that. Yeah, you are. Because they literally have in the reports that they gave you all of their information. That's how it works. When agencies assist other agencies, it's not their case. They might keep copies of things. They might write reports and keep it for their own thing, okay? But the information goes to the actual investigating agency. This would be Moscow PD. They really just want this stuff not redacted as much, that has been redacted, and re-put out there, which is also something I mentioned in our live that we did on 3/17, going over the entirety of Warner's body cam. One of my things was, when are they going to give this to us unredacted? Again, I understand if they want to redact the bodies. Fine, cool, not going to complain. But when it comes to what's being said, When it comes to looking at just the area in general, there's literally no reason. There's no reason for the amount of redactions that we have seen. So they want that fixed, and they want whatever is being denied to no longer be denied. And again, like normal, they want their attorney fees paid for, because having to do this, having to file a lawsuit for them to follow their own Freedom of Information Act rules, they want their money back for it. Well, that's it so far for this lawsuit's documents. Again, the lady with Latell County said they expect a bunch more documents to be coming in, and I'm sure there will be. We have the interveners information that should be coming in. We have the response from the city of Moscow and the Moscow Police Department that should be coming in. So we'll see what happens here. We're still also trying to play catch up when it comes to body cam and the WSU lawsuit that was filed with the families against WSU, where Bryan Kohberger was not only a TA, but also a student whenever he lived in Pullman. And we also have a lot of interviews incoming. There are two different channels. We have Connor and we have Christie's Chaos. They have filed FOIAs for all kinds of interviews and videos and all kinds of things. We've got a lot incoming, and I am trying to play catch up as much as possible and keep up with everything that is new. And damn, this is freaking exhausting. But we're getting there. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this down in the comments. If you've been here for a while, you know how ridiculous it's been to try to get any information from this case. You've listened to the recordings, you've read the emails, you've seen the letters, you've seen the denials. I've given you every little detail that has happened along the way. So you guys are no amateurs to how ridiculous this FOIA situation in this case has been. Man, I hope that something shakes here. This is not the first lawsuit EWU has filed when it comes to trying to get information. So fingers crossed. But again, let me know what you guys are thinking about this down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all. Seriously, check it, because YouTube likes to unring it, so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. Oh, and don't forget I do have a second channel. See y'all.